I offered brother $100,000 joint venture. He laughed. You? You're broke loser. But signed anyway. 6 months later, IRS auditor visited him to announce next. Your partner reported $340,000 income under joint LLC. Your tax liability is 43 minutes. That's how long I waited at my brother's restaurant while he personally greeted Instagram influencers at table 6. Marco's Italian Kitchen, downtown Phoenix. My reservation said 2:30. The hostess said the system adjusted for wait time. 3 couples who arrived after me got seated first. All regulars, all greeted by name. Then Dylan emerged from the kitchen. Chef White's pristine. $800 Japanese knife tucked in his apron. He walked straight past me to the influencer's table. Crouched down. Big smile. One of them angled her phone to include him in the shot. He stood up. Waved to the camera. Walked back toward the kitchen. Made eye contact with me for half a second. Kept walking. 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Dylan. Vic, didn't see you waiting. You should have texted. The hostess appeared. Mr. Russo, your table's ready. 2 top near the restroom hallway. Not by the window, not near the open kitchen. The spot where they seat people they don't recognize. Dylan showed up 10 minutes later. Sat backward in the chair, arms over the backrest. Too busy to sit properly. How long you been waiting? 50 minutes. His face flickered concern, then reset. Saturdays are insane. Turning tables every 45 minutes, but the list never stops. I watched him through the kitchen window while I ate. Laughing with his sous chef. Tasting something off a spoon. 60 tables. $18 pasta plates. 2 turns per seating. The math formed automatically in my head. He'd told me the restaurant barely breaks even. The numbers said otherwise. There's a specific kind of invisible you become when your sibling is the local celebrity chef. You can wait 50 minutes in their restaurant and they'll still act surprised you showed up. Like you manifested out of thin air instead of making a reservation 3 days ago. Meanwhile, Instagram food bloggers get personal table visits and custom dishes. But sure, family's important. Sunday dinner at my parents' house. 6 p.m. weekly tradition. I arrived on time. Dylan showed up 47 minutes late with a white bakery box tied with string. Cannoli from Marco's. Made fresh today. Mom clapped. Actually clapped. Dad poured wine, raised his glass. To Dylan, 2 years in business, James Beard nomination, 4.8 stars on Yelp. Phoenix Magazine just named him to their 30 under 30 rising stars. Mom pulled out her phone, showed everyone the article. Dylan's face in black and white, arms crossed, standing in his kitchen. We're so proud, Mom said. Voice cracking, tears forming. Amber, Dylan's wife, 29 influencer, chimed in. Instagram engagement has been insane. We gained 4,000 followers last week. Brands are reaching out for partnerships. Last month we made $6,000 from sponsored posts. Dad turned to me. Victor, you closed that deal in Tempe. That's great, son. Beat. Pause. Back to Dylan. So tell us about the second location. Scottsdale? Dylan leaned back. Space near the waterfront. 2,400 square feet. Perfect layout. Lease is $12,000 monthly. Need about $100,000 total for deposit, equipment, inventory, permits. Mom and Dad exchanged a look. The kind married people make when they've already had the conversation. Dad spoke carefully. We'd love to help. But the first loan... I know. Dylan waved his hand. You gave me $120 to open Marco's. I'm not asking you to fund this one too. Have you paid back the first loan? I asked. Forks stopped moving. Dylan looked at me. The restaurant barely breaks even, Vic. Labor costs are insane. Food costs went up 30% last year. So no. I'm building equity. The business is worth way more than $120 now. Amber's voice had an edge. He's building a brand, Victor. That has value. Mom jumped in. Dylan doesn't owe us anything. We wanted to invest. That's what parents do. You didn't invest in me, I said. Silence. Dad's face tightened. You didn't need it. You had scholarships, student loans. You figured it out. 67,000 in loans. Paid them off myself. Took 6 years. Dylan stood up, walked to the fridge. I'm not here to compare bank statements. Can we just eat? As I was leaving, Dylan pulled me aside. You know commercial leases, right? That's my job. Could you look at the Scottsdale space? Give me your opinion. I could also look at your books, see where the money's going. His expression shifted. Friendly to guarded. I've got an accountant. We're good. Just offering. I appreciate it. I'll send you the lease details. He patted my shoulder. Dismissive. Text me your thoughts. Monday morning. Home office. I pulled up Arizona's public business records. Marco's Italian Kitchen, LLC. 60-seat capacity. 1,800 square feet. I opened a spreadsheet. Started calculating. 60 seats. $35 average ticket. 2 weekend seatings. 1.5 weekday seatings. 6 days weekly. Revenue estimate, $2.4 million annually. Industry standard restaurant operating costs, 65 to 70%. Even at 70%, Dylan should net $750,000 in profit. And he claimed the restaurant barely breaks even. Either he was the worst businessman in Phoenix, or he was hiding income. Either way, there was an opportunity. I opened a new document. Started outlining. Offered Dylan $100,000. Not a loan. Investment. 50-50 partnership. Official LLC, legal documentation. Equal ownership means equal IRS reporting. If Dylan hid income once, he'd do it again. Take cash off books. Underreport revenue, minimize taxes. But this time I'd be a legal partner. With documentation, with receipts, with a paper trail. When tax season came, I'd report my half of the real income, accurately, legally. The IRS would see 2 partners reporting wildly different numbers. They'd audit the one who reported less. I spent 3 hours researching Arizona LLC tax law, partnership income rules, K-1 forms, penalties for underreporting. Then I drafted a partnership agreement. Clean, simple, standard terms, 50-50 ownership. Both partners report income equally. By 2 p.m., I texted Dylan. Have a business proposal. Can we meet after close tomorrow? 4 minutes later. Sure. 9 p.m. Marcos? Thumbs up. Most people think revenge is hot-blooded, a sudden explosion of rage that makes you do something stupid. But the best revenge? That's cold, calculated, built on spreadsheets and tax code, the kind where you smile while signing papers because you know exactly what's coming in 6 months. 9 p.m. Marco's Italian Kitchen, closed sign on the door, light still on. I knocked. Dylan unlocked it. Vic, come in. Want a drink? I'm good. We sat near the bar. I opened my portfolio, slid the partnership agreement across. I want to invest $100,000 in your Scottsdale location, 50-50 partnership, official LLC. You handle operations. I'm a silent partner. Dylan picked up the document, read the first page. Then he laughed. Loud enough that dishes clinked in the back. You're a broke loser playing entrepreneur. He set the papers down. Vic, you drive a Honda, a 2016 Accord. You wear Kohl's sport coats. You're a real estate paper pusher who thinks he understands the restaurant business? Amber walked out from the kitchen. Babe, who thinks they understand restaurants? Dylan gestured at me. Victor wants to invest $100,000. Thinks he's a restaurateur now. Amber's laugh was sharp. That's cute. Did you watch a Gordon Ramsay documentary? I kept my face neutral. I have $100,000 liquid. You need $100,000 for lease deposit and equipment. 50-50 partnership in the new location only. Original Marcos stays 100% yours. Dylan's smile faded slightly. Why would I split my success with you? Because you don't have the capital and banks won't lend to someone whose first location barely breaks even after 2 years. His jaw tightened. I have investors lining up. Then take one of them, or take me. 50-50 means you keep control. I don't interfere. I just provide capital. He read more carefully, flipped through pages. Silent partner? Meaning you just give me 100,000 and I run everything? Correct. You're the chef. I'm the investor. He looked at Amber. She shrugged. Free money. Dylan grabbed a pen from his apron. You know what? Sure, let's do it. He signed. 3 copies. Didn't ask for a lawyer review. Didn't read the clause about equal income reporting. Didn't ask about dissolution terms. Just signed. I countersigned. Dated it. Slid 1 copy to him. I'll wire the money Wednesday morning. Should hit the account by noon. Dylan stood, extended his hand. Don't spend it all at Kohl's, Vic. Buy a decent suit for the grand opening. Looking forward to working with you, partner. As I walked to the door, I heard Dylan tell Amber, easiest 100 grand I've ever made. He'll never know how restaurants actually work. I heard it, didn't turn around, just kept walking. Got in my car, set the portfolio on the passenger seat. Smiled. The thing about underestimating someone is you never see the trap until you're already inside it. Dylan just signed a legal partnership agreement with the broke loser who spent 3 months studying Arizona LLC tax law. But sure, Victor's the one who doesn't know how things work. Wednesday morning, Bank of America. I sat across from the business accounts manager. Wire transfer to Marco's Kitchen Scottsdale LLC. $100,000. She verified my identity, confirmed account details. Transfer will complete within 2 hours. 10:43 a.m. Email confirmation, wire transfer complete. I forwarded it to my attorney. Subject: Partnership funded. Please file all LLC documents with the state. 20 minutes later. Filed. This is a lot of capital. You trust your brother? I typed, I trust the IRS. Huh? I didn't clarify, just wrote, make sure every document is filed correctly. No exceptions. Understood. I closed my laptop, opened Instagram. Dylan had posted 15 minutes ago, photo of the Scottsdale space, empty retail interior. Caption: Big news coming, second location in the works. Marco's Kitchen, Scottsdale, eats dream big. 847 likes. 93 comments. Mom's comment: so proud of you, Dylan. Dad's comment: that's my boy. 0 mention of the $100,000 I'd wired 4 hours earlier. 0 mention of a partner. I took a screenshot. Saved it to a folder. Dylan_public_claims. Then I opened my calendar. Marked April 15th. Tax deadline, 6 months away. Dylan called me a broke loser. Took my $100,000. Already taking full credit publicly, but my face stayed calm. Because I knew something Dylan didn't. Something that started with 3 letters. IRS. And in 6 months, those 3 letters were going to change everything. 3 months in, the Scottsdale space looked like controlled chaos. 2,400 square feet of exposed concrete, electrical conduit hanging from the ceiling, contractors yelling measurements across the room. Dylan stood in the center wearing designer jeans and a Marco's Kitchen branded hoodie. Architect plans rolled out on a sawhorse table. Kitchen goes here, bar runs along this wall, seating for 75. Same aesthetic as the original but elevated. Higher-end finishes. The general contractor approached, clipboard in hand. Mr. Russo, I have the equipment invoices. Kitchen package came to $47,000. Dining build-out is $18,000. Need approval to proceed with payment. Dylan gestured at me without looking. My partner handles the money side. I reviewed the invoices. Commercial range, walk-in cooler, hood system. Everything looked standard. I signed the approval. Pull from the LLC account. Dylan turned back to the architect. See? This is why I needed a silent partner. You just sign checks. That's what I'm here for. I photographed the invoices with my phone. Both sides. Every line item. Dylan glanced over. You keeping records? Investor stuff, he shrugged. Went back to discussing backsplash tile options. I created a new spreadsheet that night. LLC_expenses_tracking.xlsx. Every invoice, every receipt, every payment, dated, categorized, cross-referenced with bank statements. Dylan never asked why I was documenting everything. He assumed it was what investors do. He was right. Grand opening night. 4 months after I wired the money. Marco's Kitchen Scottsdale looked nothing like the concrete shell I'd seen in November. Exposed brick. Edison bulbs. Leather banquettes. Bar made from reclaimed wood. 75 seats packed with people holding champagne flutes. 120 guests. Local food press. Influencers with ring lights. Phoenix Magazine sent a writer and photographer. Dylan worked the room in chef whites, shaking hands, posing for photos. My parents hosted near the entrance. Mom wore a dress I'd never seen before. Dad had on a suit jacket. Both glowing. I stood in the corner near the bar, beer in hand, watching. A food blogger with 40,000 followers approached Dylan. Microphone extended, camera rolling. Dylan, how did you fund this expansion? Second location in under 3 years is impressive. Dylan's smile was practiced. Humble. Blood, sweat, and belief in my vision. Took everything I had. Every dollar I've made went back into this. No mention of the 100,000 I wired. The Phoenix Magazine writer joined in. Self-funded expansion in this economy? That takes serious capital and guts. I don't believe in investors who don't understand the craft. Dylan gestured around the room. This is 100% my risk, 100% my reward. When you build something yourself, you protect the integrity. I opened my phone, created a new note. Dylan_public_claims.xlsx. Entry 1. Self-funded expansion. Food blogger interview, grand opening. Entry 2. Took everything I had. Same interview. Entry 3. 100% my risk. Phoenix Magazine writer. Dad appeared next to me, clapped my shoulder. Nice of you to come support your brother. I'm a partner, Dad. 50/50 LLC. His smile faltered. Confusion flickered across his face. Dylan said he funded this himself. Took out a business loan. Check the LLC filing. We're equal partners. I invested 100,000. Mom joined us, champagne in hand. Well, it's still Dylan's restaurant. You just helped out. I didn't argue, just smiled. Took another sip of beer. Across the room, Dylan was hugging Amber. Camera flashes. Champagne toasts. Phoenix Magazine photographer directing poses. I took a screenshot of the food blogger's Instagram story. Dylan's face. Caption. Self-made chef opens second location, inspiring. Saved it to the folder. Credit theft is fascinating to watch in real time. Dylan didn't just forget to mention Victor's investment. He actively erased it. Rewrote the story where he was the solo hero. The problem with lying about money? The IRS has receipts, and they don't care about your Instagram narrative. First month after opening. Dylan requested a partnership meeting. We met at the original Marco's. Late morning. Restaurant closed between lunch and dinner service. Dylan sat across from me with a printed spreadsheet. Amber next to him. Laptop open. Revenue numbers for Scottsdale, first full month. He slid the paper across. 187,000 in sales. Operating costs 164. Net profit 23,000. I studied the numbers. Something felt wrong. 187 seems low. 75 seats. Average ticket probably $40 per person. 2 turns per night on weekends. 26 days open. That's closer to 468,000 potential. Dylan's expression hardened. You don't understand restaurant economics. We had soft opening discounts, staffing issues, food waste, labor costs. The first month is always rough. So we each get 11,500 in distributions? We need to reinvest for the first 6 months, build cash reserves, cover unexpected expenses. I pulled out my phone, opened the LLC agreement, scrolled to section 7. The agreement says equal monthly distributions of net profit. I'm not taking a salary either. We're building something here. His voice had an edge now. Don't be greedy, Vic. Amber leaned forward. Do you have any idea how much work Dylan puts in? 18-hour days. He's there every single service. You just wrote a check. I looked at Dylan. You're saying no distributions for 6 months? Correct. Standard practice for new restaurants. I closed my phone. Fine. Send me detailed monthly reports. Revenue, expenses, everything. You'll get quarterly reports. That's industry standard for silent partners. I stood up. I'll be tracking independently, Dylan laughed. Tracking what? You don't have access to the POS system. I have access to public information, open table reservations, Yelp reviews, square footage calculations, industry averages. His smile disappeared. You don't trust me? I trust documentation. I left. That night I checked OpenTable, Marco's Kitchen. Scottsdale was 90% booked 2 weeks out. I checked Yelp. 4.7 stars. 212 reviews in 1 month. I did the math. Revenue wasn't $187,000. It was closer to $350,000. Dylan was hiding income. Sunday dinner. 5 months after the Scottsdale opening. Dad stood at the head of the table. Wine glass raised. Another toast. Dylan made Arizona's top restaurants list, published this morning. Mom pulled out her phone. Showed everyone the article. She'd already printed and framed it. Hung it in the living room next to the Phoenix magazine cover. Dylan launched into a story about building his empire from nothing, working his way up from line cook to owner. Parents listened like it was scripture. Amber filmed parts of it for content. I waited until there was a pause. How's the LLC doing? Ready to start distributions? The table went quiet. Dylan set down his fork. Business partner talk at family dinner? Seriously? Dad's voice had disappointment in it. Victor, let your brother enjoy his success. It's our success. 50-50 partnership. Dylan's face flushed. You wrote a check, Vic. I built a restaurant. There's a difference. Amber jumped in. He literally works 18-hour days. What do? Check your bank app? I stood up. Calm. Voice level. I invested $100,000. That makes me an equal partner. Not a bank. Not a charity. A partner. Partners get accurate financial reports. You'll get your money back when I'm ready. Relax. That's not how LLCs work. Dylan stood too, leaned across the table. Then sue me. The words hung in the air. I picked up my coat. I'll be in touch. Walked to the door. Dad called after me. Victor, don't ruin this for your brother. I didn't turn around, just left. Sue me is what people say when they think they're untouchable, when they've convinced themselves the rules don't apply. Dylan had no idea Victor didn't need to sue. He just needed to file an accurate tax return. The IRS would do the rest. Monday morning. Law office on Central Avenue. I sat across from my attorney. Spread 6 months of documentation across his desk. LLC formation papers. Wire transfer receipt. Construction invoices. Screenshots of Dylan's public statements. Revenue calculations based on observable data. He reviewed everything. He's not giving you distributions? He claims we're reinvesting, but I think he's taking cash off the books. That's tax fraud. He set down the wire transfer receipt. You report your half of LLC income even if you don't receive distributions. Did he give you a K-1 form? No. He's required to. LLC partners must report their share of income regardless of distributions. If he's hiding income and not filing accurate K-1s, that's tax fraud. I leaned forward. What if I report my 50% of the actual income on my taxes? Actual meaning? Based on my calculations, the Scottsdale location generated approximately $340,000 in 6 months. My half is $170,000. I report that. He reports his claim $23,000. My attorney went quiet. 30 seconds of silence. That would trigger an IRS audit. When two partners report vastly different income from the same LLC, the system flags it automatically. Exactly. That's technically your legal obligation to report accurate income based on your partnership stake. So I'm just following the law. He smiled. Small. Professional. The most devastating revenge is always legal. Tax deadline approaching. I sat at my home office desk. Schedule E form open on my laptop. Partnership income from Marco's Kitchen. Scottsdale LLC. Box for income amount. I typed $170,000. Attached supporting documentation. LLC agreement showing 50-50 ownership. Wire transfer proving my investment. Revenue calculation methodology based on seat count, average ticket, occupancy rates. My cursor hovered over the submit button. This was the point of no return. Once I filed, the IRS would see my return. They'd see Dylan's return when he filed. The numbers wouldn't match. Red flags would trigger. Auditors would get assigned. Someone would owe a lot of money in back taxes, penalties, interest. It wouldn't be me. I clicked submit. Confirmation page loaded. Return accepted. Processing within 24 hours. My phone buzzed. Text from Dylan. Did you file your taxes yet? Need to coordinate LLC numbers. I typed back. Already filed. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. What did you report for LLC income? My half. 170,000. My phone rang immediately. Dylan calling. I declined it. Text came through. What? We only made 23,000 profit. That's what you told me. My accountant estimated differently. Change it. File amended. Now. No. You're going to ruin everything. I typed the last message. See you at the audit. Blocked his number. Set the phone face down on my desk. Opened a beer. The IRS doesn't care about family drama. They don't care about James Beard nominations or Instagram followers. They care about matching numbers. Dylan reported minimal income from our LLC. I reported 170,000. Red flags were already going up in some computer system in Kansas or wherever the IRS processes returns. An auditor would get assigned. Dylan's POS system would get subpoenaed. His bank deposits would get examined. The real revenue numbers would surface, and someone would owe approximately $88,000 in back taxes and penalties. The IRS doesn't care about family drama. They don't care who the golden child is. They care about one thing: matching numbers. When two partners in an LLC report wildly different income, red flags go up. Auditors get assigned, and someone's going to owe a lot of money. Spoiler, it won't be Victor. The audit letter would arrive at Dylan's house in approximately 2 weeks. Certified mail. IRS return address. Notice of examination. He'd open it over morning coffee. Read the first paragraph. See the discrepancy amount. $317,000 in unreported income. His hands would shake. Amber would ask what's wrong. And Dylan would realize the broke loser who wore Kohl's sport coats and drove a Honda had just destroyed everything, using nothing but accurate tax reporting. I took another sip of beer. Waited. 2 weeks after I filed my taxes, Dylan got a letter. I know because Uncle Rich called me. Dylan's neighbor. Saw the mail carrier deliver certified mail with an IRS return address. Amber signed for it. Dylan opened it at the kitchen table while drinking coffee. Uncle Rich said Dylan went white. Then read. Then called Amber over. They read it together. Dylan's hand shook so hard the pages rattled. I didn't need to see the letter. I knew what it said. Notice of audit. Case number. Discrepancy detected. Partnership income doesn't match between partners. Victor Russo reported $170,000. Dylan Russo reported $11,500. Please provide documentation for all business revenue and expenses. Uncle Rich said Dylan made 3 phone calls in 10 minutes. First to his accountant. Second to a tax attorney. Third to me. I didn't answer. The next day, Dylan showed up at Marco's original location during lunch service. I was sitting at my usual corner table. Espresso. Reading news on my phone. I saw him coming through the window, still in chef whites from the morning prep, face red, jaw clenched. He stormed through the front door. Customers looked up. The hostess tried to greet him. He walked right past her, crossed the dining room in 8 strides, slammed an envelope on my table. IRS return address visible. You're trying to destroy me. Every conversation in the restaurant stopped. 40 people staring. I took a sip of espresso. Sit down, you're making a scene. You reported 170,000. The IRS is auditing me. I reported my accurate income, like the law requires. He grabbed the chair, sat down hard, leaned across the table. We made 23,000. That's what I told you. I pulled my own folder from the seat next to me, set it on the table, opened it. Inside, photographs of the Scottsdale location's daily specials board from the past 6 months, showing prices. Open table screenshots showing 90% capacity. Revenue calculation spreadsheet. Industry average profit margins. I turned the folder so he could see. You didn't make 23,000, Dylan. You made 340,000 and took cash off the books. His face drained of color. There were expenses. You don't understand restaurant economics. I understand you committed tax fraud, and I reported accurate numbers. I'll tell them you're lying, that you made up these calculations. I closed the folder. Go ahead. They'll subpoena your POS system, your supplier invoices, your bank deposits, every credit card transaction for 6 months. And when they find 340,000 in revenue you didn't report, you'll owe back taxes, penalties, and interest, plus potential jail time for willful fraud. How much? His voice cracked. How much do I owe? Tax liability on 170,000 unreported income? Approximately 51,000 federal. Add penalties for underreporting, that's another 25,000. Interest, maybe 4,000. State taxes, 8,500. Total? I paused. Call it 88,800. I don't have 88,000. I stood up, left $40 on the table for my espresso and tip. That's a you problem. Walked out. Left him sitting there with the IRS letter. Tax fraud only works until someone reports the real numbers. Dylan thought he was clever, taking cash, underreporting income, paying taxes on pennies while pocketing dollars. The problem? His partner was smarter, and his partner had receipts and math. The IRS loves math. Wednesday evening. My phone rang. Mom. There's an emergency family meeting tonight. Your father's house, 7 p.m. You need to be there. What's the emergency? Dylan will explain. Just be there. She hung up. I knew what this was. The ambush. The intervention. The united front where they'd all tell me I was wrong and Dylan was the victim. I showed up anyway. 7:03 p.m. Everyone was already there. Mom, Dad, Dylan, Amber, all sitting in the living room, chairs arranged in a semicircle. One empty chair facing them. The accused's chair. I sat down. What's this about? Dad cleared his throat. We need to talk about your behavior. My behavior. What you did to Dylan. Mom's voice was tight, near tears. Filing false tax information, getting him audited, trying to destroy his business. Dylan leaned forward. He sabotaged me, reported fake numbers to the IRS. Now they're auditing me for $317,000 in income we never made. I set my phone on my lap, opened the voice recorder app, hit record. I reported my accurate partnership income, my legal obligation as an LLC member. Dad's face hardened. Dylan says you claim the LLC made $340,000. That's ridiculous. Is it? I pulled out my laptop, opened it, turned the screen toward them. Scottsdale location. 75 seats. Average ticket $42 per person. 2 turns per night on weekends, 1.5 on weekdays. Open 26 days per month. 6 months of operation. The spreadsheet filled the screen. Numbers in neat columns. Formula visible at the bottom. Minimum revenue, $327,600. Add opening week events, private parties, bar sales, catering orders. $340,000 is conservative. Dylan stood up. That's not profit. There are operating costs, food costs, labor, rent, utilities. I'm reporting revenue, which we split 50-50 per LLC partnership law. You report your half. I report mine. Your costs are your deductions. You file them correctly and you're fine. Silence. Mom broke it. Dylan would never cheat on taxes. Then why did he report 11,500 when the real number is 170,000? No one answered. Amber spoke up, voice defensive. He was trying to minimize taxes. Every business owner does it. It's smart accounting. It's called tax fraud, Amber. Dad slammed his hand on the armrest. You invested knowing Dylan needed to get established. You can't sabotage him now just because you're jealous of his success. I invested $100,000. Dylan told every reporter, every blogger, every magazine writer that he self-funded the expansion. He took 100% of the credit, erased me completely. Then he hid income from the IRS, and now he's mad that I followed the law? Dylan's voice went loud. I'll fix it. I'll file amended returns. Just tell the IRS you made a mistake on your return. No. Please, Vic. I'm begging you. Just file an amendment. Say you estimated wrong. I'll pay you back the $100,000? No. He stood up, face red, shouting now. You're destroying my business, my reputation, everything I built. I stood too. Calm. You built it with my money. You hid income. You committed tax fraud. That's on you. Mom was crying. He's your brother. And he called me a broke loser, took my $100,000, erased me from every story, committed tax fraud with our joint LLC, some brother. Dad stood, pointed at me. Why did you really invest, Victor? Tell the truth. You want the truth? Everyone stared. I knew Dylan would take credit. I knew he'd hide income like he probably does at the original location. I knew he'd underestimate me. So I created a paper trail, documented everything, became a legal partner with equal reporting requirements. And when tax season came, I filed accurate numbers. The IRS did the rest. Dylan's face went from red to white. You planned this? From the start? I'm not a broke loser, Dylan. I'm someone who reads tax code. He lunged across the coffee table, arms reaching for me. Dad grabbed him, held him back. I'll destroy you. I didn't move, just watched him struggle against Dad's grip. Save your energy. You'll need it for the audit. I picked up my laptop, walked to the door. Mom's voice behind me. If you leave this house, don't come back. I stopped, turned. Wasn't planning to. Opened the door. Left. Behind me, I heard Dylan screaming. Mom crying. Dad trying to calm everyone down. I got in my car, drove home, felt nothing. 1 month later, IRS field office on Central Avenue. I wasn't required to attend Dylan's audit, but my attorney was on Zoom, observing. He'd forward me notes afterward. The meeting lasted 4 hours. IRS Auditor Rebecca Santos. 15 years with the Bureau. Specialized in small business tax fraud. She'd subpoenaed everything. Dylan's POS system data. Bank statements. Supplier invoices. Credit card processing reports. My attorney sent me updates via text. POS system shows $338,000 in sales for 6 months. Bank deposits show $280,000. $60,000 discrepancy, likely cash not deposited. Dylan's tax return reported $23,000 revenue. Accountant is scrambling. No good explanation. The final text came at 4:30 p.m. Audit complete. Total tax liability, $88,800. Dylan asked for payment plan. Auditor approved. 3 years, $3,000 per month. Then, they're also reviewing his original location now. Same patterns detected. I set my phone down. Dylan owed $88,800 minimum. Probably more once they audited the first Marcos location. $3,000 monthly payments for 3 years. All profit from Scottsdale going straight to the IRS. And it cost me nothing, because I reported accurate numbers. 1 week after the audit, Uncle Rich called me. Your mom's been calling the whole family, telling everyone you destroyed Dylan out of jealousy. What are people saying? Mixed reactions. Half the family thinks you're vindictive. Half thinks Dylan had it coming. He paused. I'm in the second camp for what it's worth. Thanks. Your Aunt Linda asked questions. Wanted to know how much you actually invested. When your mom said 100,000, Linda asked why Dylan told everyone he self-funded it. What did Mom say? She didn't answer, just said it was complicated family business. Uncle Rich laughed. Then Linda asked if Dylan really hid income. Your mom hung up on her. Family's splitting. Yeah, Sunday dinners are canceled indefinitely. Your dad tried to organize one last week. Only Dylan and Amber showed up. I looked out my apartment window. Phoenix skyline. Sunset making everything orange. How's Dylan? Haven't seen him. Amber's Instagram went private. Dylan hasn't posted in 3 weeks. Restaurants still open, but word got around about the audit. Some of the food blogger crowd distanced themselves. And the James Beard nomination? Withdrawn. Committee said something about integrity standards. We sat in silence for a moment. You did what you had to do, Uncle Rich said. Don't let them make you feel guilty. I don't. And I didn't. Dylan called me a broke loser, took my $100,000, told the world he self-funded his expansion, hid income from the government, and when caught, tried to make me the villain. The IRS disagreed. $88,800 in back taxes, penalties, and interest. 3 years of payments. Scottsdale location's profit going to the government instead of Dylan's pocket. James Beard nomination withdrawn. Half the family not speaking to him. And Victor? Victor went back to work. Closed another commercial real estate deal. $2.8 million. Commission. $112,000. Took a client to lunch at a new Italian place downtown. Not Marco's. Never Marco's again. 6 months after the audit, I bought a condo. Downtown Phoenix. 2 bedrooms. Floor-to-ceiling windows. View of Camelback Mountain. $385,000. 20% down. $77,000 from my savings. The savings that used to fund Dylan's lies. Same week I got promoted. Senior partner at the commercial real estate firm. Salary bump to $240,000 annually. Corner office. My name on the door. I was dating someone new. Claire. 33. Architect. Met her at an industry networking event. She designed mixed-use developments. Spoke 3 languages. Didn't know who Dylan was and didn't care when I explained. Sunday morning. Brunch at a place in Old Town Scottsdale. Not Marco's. Never Marco's. Claire scrolled through her phone. I read the news. Comfortable silence. She looked up. How's your family? Don't have one? She knew the story. Knew I hadn't spoken to my parents in 6 months. Knew Dylan and I would probably never speak again. She didn't push, just nodded. Went back to her phone. No drama. No guilt trips. No expectations that blood relation meant unlimited forgiveness. It was the most peaceful Sunday morning I'd had in years. Thursday afternoon, coffee shop on 7th Street, Uncle Rich texted asking to meet. He was already there when I arrived. Corner table, 2 coffees waiting. Talked to your dad last week, he said without preamble. Dylan's struggling. How bad? IRS took the $88,800. He had to take a loan against the original Marcos to pay it. 15% interest. Monthly payments are eating his profit. And Scottsdale? Broke even last month. First time in 6 months. He's working both locations. 80-hour weeks. Can't afford a second head chef. I took a sip of coffee. Said nothing. Uncle Rich continued. Amber left him 3 months ago. Moved to Los Angeles. Filed for divorce. That surprised me. She left? Couldn't handle the stress, or the debt, or the downgrade from influencer lifestyle to IRS payment plan. Her Instagram's doing fine though. 28,000 followers now. Dating a music producer. What's Dylan driving? 2008 Nissan, silver, 180,000 miles. The Mercedes got repossessed when he missed 3 payments to cover the IRS. Uncle Rich pulled out his phone. Showed me Dylan's Instagram profile. Last post was 4 months ago. Photo of a pasta dish. 47 likes, no caption. James Beard nomination got pulled, Uncle Rich said. Made the food scene news. Something about integrity standards. Where's he living? Studio apartment in Tempe. 1,100 a month. Used to have a house in Arcadia. We sat in silence. Do you feel guilty? Uncle Rich asked. He committed tax fraud. I reported accurate numbers. He did this to himself. Your parents don't see it that way. They invested $120,000 in his first restaurant. Never got paid back. I invested $100,000 in his second. Never got distributions. Difference is, I expected to be treated like a partner. They expected to be worshipped as martyrs. Uncle Rich smiled. Small. Sad. Fair enough. Saturday afternoon, Whole Foods. I was shopping for a dinner party. Claire was cooking. I was on ingredient duty. Produce section. I rounded the corner from leafy greens into tomatoes and peppers. Froze. Dylan stood 10 feet away, staring at price tags on organic tomatoes. Chef whites, but not the pristine ones from before. These were stained. Frayed at the collar. Work clogs worn down at the heels. Hair grayer than I remembered. Thinner, too. We saw each other at the same moment. 5 seconds of complete silence. Shoppers moved around us. Background music played. Neither of us moved. Victor. Dylan. Pause. Neither of us knew what came next. He looked down at the tomatoes. Back at me. You got what you wanted. I wanted a 50-50 partnership. I got tax fraud exposure and a family that doesn't speak to me. I'm paying $3,800 a month to the IRS for 3 years. Lost my wife. Lost my James Beard nomination. Lost my reputation in the food scene. You called me a broke loser. Committed tax fraud with our joint LLC. Erased my investment from every public story. Consequences. He picked up a package of tomatoes. Regular, not organic. $3 cheaper. I was wrong. About you. About everything. First time he'd ever admitted being wrong about anything. Yeah. Does that make you happy? I thought about it. Really thought. It makes me even. He nodded. Walked away toward the checkout lanes. Didn't look back. I grabbed organic tomatoes. $8. Barely noticed the price. Some people think revenge should feel good. Triumphant. Victorious. But real revenge? It just feels like closure. Dylan didn't apologize. He just acknowledged reality. And that's all Victor needed. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, just acknowledgement. 2 weeks later, Wednesday afternoon, I was at my office when the receptionist called. Victor, your mother is here. She doesn't have an appointment. I almost said to turn her away. Give me 5 minutes, then send her in. I closed my laptop, cleared my desk. When Mom walked in, I gestured to the chair across from me. She sat, looked around the office. The view, the furniture, the nameplate on my desk with senior partner under my name. Can we talk? About? Your brother is suffering. The IRS payments, the divorce, the business struggles. He's barely holding on. He committed tax fraud, Mom. He made a mistake. A $170,000 mistake. She leaned forward, hands clasped. Can you help him? Maybe talk to the IRS. Tell them you overestimated the income. No. Why not? Because I didn't overestimate. The IRS audited his books. They confirmed he made $340,000 and only reported $23,000. Dylan lied. That's why he owes $88,000. Her face crumpled. You planned this. From the beginning. You invested just to trap him. I invested because I had capital and he needed it. The trap was assuming I'd stay invisible while he took full credit and committed federal tax fraud. He's your brother. And he called me a broke loser. Erased my $100,000 investment from every interview, every article, every Instagram post. Then hid income from the IRS using our joint LLC. What kind of brother does that? She stood up. Family forgives. I stayed seated. Family doesn't commit fraud against family. She walked to the door. Stopped. You've changed. No, I just stopped accepting being invisible. She left. We didn't speak for 8 months after that. 1 year after I filed my taxes, I sat in my condo living room. Evening. Claire was in the kitchen making dinner. Something Italian. Not because of Dylan. Just because we both liked pasta. My phone buzzed. Text from Uncle Rich. Dylan finished his IRS payments last month. Sold the Scottsdale location. Some corporate restaurant group bought the lease and equipment. Used the money to pay off the loan against the original Marcos. He's back to breaking even but stable. Dating someone new, a teacher. Quiet. Keeps him grounded. Seems humbler. I read it twice. Didn't respond. Just filed the information away. Dylan survived. Downsized. Learned. Moved on. I'd never forgive him. Never speak to him again. Never attend a family dinner where he was present. But I didn't need to destroy him further. The IRS had done enough. Claire appeared from the kitchen. Dinner in 10 minutes. Want to watch the sunset from the roof? We took our wine glasses upstairs. The rooftop deck had become our favorite spot. Phoenix skyline spreading out below us. Sky going orange and pink. Do you regret it? Claire asked. The way it happened? No. Why? I thought about how to explain it. For 35 years, I was the invisible one, the practical one, the one who worked hard, saved money, followed the rules. Dylan was the creative one, the celebrated one, the one everyone invested in financially and emotionally. And I wanted to see what happened when the invisible one stopped being invisible, when the broke loser played chess while the golden child played checkers. What happened? The golden child lost. Pause. And I stopped being invisible. Claire squeezed my hand. Good. We watched the city lights come on below us. Phoenix at night looked like scattered diamonds. My condo, my office downtown, my second investment property visible from here if you knew where to look. I'm not broke, I said. I'm not a loser. I'm not invisible. And I'll never be someone's ATM again. Claire raised her wine glass. To being visible. I clinked my glass against hers. To being visible. People always ask if revenge is worth it. They expect regret, guilt, moral crisis. But here's the truth. Dylan didn't lose because Victor was vengeful. He lost because he broke the law, underestimated his brother, and thought family meant consequence-free exploitation. Victor didn't destroy Dylan. Dylan destroyed himself. Victor just reported accurate numbers. Sometimes the best revenge isn't fire and fury. It's just being honest when everyone else is lying. The IRS handles the rest. And you? You sleep just fine. 1 year became 2. Life moved on. Dylan kept the original Marcos open, scaled back the menu, stopped chasing James Beard nominations, married the teacher he'd been dating. She helped manage the books. Everything reported accurately now. 4.6 stars on Yelp, local favorite instead of food scene celebrity. He seemed okay with that. My parents resumed Sunday dinners. Dylan attended. I didn't. They never invited me. I never asked to be invited. Uncle Rich said Dad stopped bragging about my chef son. Mom deleted her Instagram. Too painful to see what Dylan's life had become. Half the extended family sided with Dylan. Said I was vindictive, cold, unforgiving. Half sided with me. Said Dylan got what he deserved. Actions have consequences. Family doesn't mean accepting fraud. Thanksgiving and Christmas happened without me. I spent them with Claire's family. Her parents owned a vineyard in Napa. Her sister was a doctor. Her brother taught physics. Nobody talked about restaurants or tax fraud or golden children. It was peaceful. Me? I got engaged. Claire said yes on a trip to Sedona. We set a date for next fall. Small wedding. 50 people. None of them related to me by blood. Bought a second investment property. Commercial space downtown. Leased it to a law firm. Cash flow positive from month 1. Started a consulting business on the side. Commercial real estate strategy for small investors. First year revenue, $180,000. Combined with my salary, $420,000 annually. I slept fine at night. Dylan learned that contracts aren't suggestions, that LLCs aren't piggy banks, that the IRS doesn't care about your James Beard nomination, or your Instagram followers, or your parents' pride. They care about accurate numbers. And when you file inaccurate numbers while your partner files accurate ones, they come for you. Every time. The sunset faded to dark. Claire and I went back inside, ate dinner, talked about the wedding venue, laughed about her sister's terrible toast at the engagement party. Normal life, peaceful life, built on my own work, my own money, my own choices. No one called asking for investments. No one erased my contributions. No one called me a broke loser. I was visible now, and I was never going back. You can be invisible for years. But the moment you document everything, report honestly, and let the law work, you become the most visible person in the room. And the golden child learns. Contracts aren't suggestions. LLCs aren't piggy banks. And the IRS doesn't care about your James Beard nomination.